Hello, welcome to FlowerJoos. My name is John McDonald, and today we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to make an interesting arrangement that you could put up if you know that there was people coming round or you're having a special event. So we're going to use this old frame, and what I've done is I've put a couple of little nails in the back so that we can hang it up. And this is going to be a floral picture. So we're going to put it on the wall, and we need to add our flowers. So I was hunting around and looking for the right container, and I found this, basically the kind of thing you get from the takeaway that has rice in it. Now, if I take the lid off, it's not quite the right fit. So we're going to keep the lid on, but we are going to just trim it. So I'm just going to use a knife just to get started. Now this won't really matter if it's a little bit rough and ready. That is basically the container that we're going to use. Now, I am going to use Oasis for this. Now, I know that Oasis isn't the most environmentally friendly, and because of that, I'm basically going to be using up any odds and sods that I have. Now, it's still using Oasis, but it's basically it still exists. So if I don't use it, it's still going to exist. So I might as well use it and put it to a purpose. And ideally, if I can use it twice, then even better. So I'm just coating that so that it goes right in. And I would like to do a little bit of cling wrap onto it as well. Because this is going on the wall, it is going to leak a little, which is not so good. But that is going to be our base for our flowers. So what I need to do is just make sure that film doesn't move. Make sure that the foam doesn't move. But still leave access for us to access that water source. Because essentially this is what we're making, is a water source. Now, as you can see, that now fits in there perfectly. That's where my hooks are, so that'll be the top of my frame. So I want it to just rest lower down. Where the weight will be. And just use our tape to hold it in. Now you could glue it in, is another option. And actually, if you were going to be using this regularly or you want to make a big thing of it, then you could make a more permanent sort of frame. Now, the way that this is going to be held is really by taping this right in. So as I say, I have pre-soaked the foam so that there is water. And this tape that I'm using is a special tape. It's basically pop tape that florists use to hold things into containers. So that is our base. Now, before we go any further, I am going to add our hanger. This is paper covered wire. It's extremely useful. It's great for just binding things and holding things. And I want this to sit so that we don't really see it. Another good thing about this tape, or this wire, is that you can tend to reuse it as well. So yeah, a little bit long. Ideally, it would go to this side as well, which I think we can do. Now let's just check if that works. Yep, that sits quite well. And we're going to hide this base so that you don't really see what's there. So now it's just a case of adding flowers. I've got a range of different flowers, and I really wanted to use these beautiful dahlias that I have in the garden. Now, we're going to make this a little bit like a landscape. So, but I do want to have a little bit of a hang as well. This, I'm not sure what it is, but it's some sort of caprese. And I think it's really interesting. I also have some amaranthus as well that we can add. So I'm cutting things with a knife. If I need to make a little hole, I can make a little hole. And this is what we're going to get. We're going to get interesting feature. I'm going to just put this on a cloth and it will catch any drips. So really the idea of the cling film is to hold the water in and preserve the water a little bit so that we are keeping a bit of the moisture for longer. These are some rose hips. Again, I think these are really cool. They're kind of fun. One thing that might be a good idea is just going around the edge and just filling in the edge a little bit with some little pieces, because this is the thing, is we don't really want to see any gaps. So for here, I'm just going to put some in there lower down. So you can see that we're starting to build this up. Now, this will leak. So I think if you were making something like this, what I would suggest is make it in advance and then make sure that you leave it to drip. Just a little bit of grass. And add just a couple of eryngium as well. But really, the stars of the show is these dahlias that I've got. And I've got a really nice friend who gave me, I helped her plant her dahlias out this year. And off the back of that, there was no space for all of them, which is unbelievable. She had a lot. And she very kindly let me take some of the ones that were just left. And luckily enough, I had a bit of a space in the garden that had already been prepped. I thought I might grow some veg, which didn't happen because the dahlias went in. So just to show you, we're creating this. I want to keep them quite flat. And we definitely don't want to hide the frame because that would just kind of spoil the illusion. But it doesn't matter which way you go in with your flowers for this. It's more about getting the heads to sit in the right way. So it won't matter if the stem goes this way or that way, as long as it's secure in the foam, then we are laughing. Now, I do have a couple of nerines here as well. Now, these could be a little bit more interesting for putting in. I think this just gives a little bit of a highlight. Quite big. Might just lose a flower. This big flower is slightly damaged, so I'm just taking him off. And that is us. So as you can see, it is going to drip. And what I would say is you need to let it just sit somewhere and have a good drip. But we've created a really interesting thing. This didn't take very long to do. We're just using a frame, a little bit of foam. We're putting it together in a logical way. And yeah, we're creating something really nice. Now I do have this one little bit of clematis. Where I live, there's these kind of wild clematis. And at the end of the year, you get really interesting berries. So there we go. We've got our picture, and it's pretty as well. Hopefully, it's pretty as a picture. I think it is. I think it's the kind of thing you could put on the wall. It's a bit of fun, and people will look twice and think, "What is that?" So there's today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you find it fun. I must admit, I found it fun. Now, we've got new videos on a regular basis. We'd love you to join us for a future video. If you haven't already subscribed, then we would love it if you do. And if you could like the video, that really helps our channel. Now, if you're up for a little bit more floral fun, then have a look in the description of this video and we'll post a link for one of our other floral designs. If you want to support the channel a little bit more, our PayPal details are also there. So thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.